There's only one thing that's running through my soul, and that is
Happy Hump Day and welcome to Crimson Dynasty. We're one of the shows here on the Bama Standard Network. I know y'all are familiar with us by now, but we just started back with our weekly shows. We had started doing every other week, but we're back. So my name is C'Chi and I'm the host here, and we have two awesome co-hosts. We have Dan James IV and we also have JB. Now they're both familiar faces of other shows on the network, so I know that y'all, you recognize them, of course, but they'll promote their other shows towards the end of this show. And be sure to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content. We will have a live Q&A session towards the end, so go ahead and drop your questions in the chat and be sure to light that chat up because we have a lot of good topics. So we're excited. But before I get started, we do want to shout out one of our sponsors, Limestone Company. We always tell you that if you've been looking for a beautiful natural stone to add around your home, don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Limestone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all your project needs. They're located in Oneonta, Alabama, and they're one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. So contact them today and tell them that we sent you by using promo code the Bama Standard to receive 10% off your first order. Now, if you're watching us right now on X, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel and search the Bama Standard and be sure to watch us there so that you can engage in the live chat. So let's just go ahead and kick things off. I want to start first, of course, with football. I know we've been talking a lot about basketball, but that's kind of over with right now. We do have some things to mention about that though towards the end, so be sure to stay until the end of the show. But let's just talk about football right now with spring practice. We know A-Day is this weekend, and there's been some injuries that's been reported. And so, of course, we know A-Day is not going to be broadcasted on TV this year. Well, I'm sure there are a few guys that, a lot of people were hoping to see in the A-Day game. One guy in particular, Ryan Williams. So now it hasn't been 100% confirmed just yet whether he'll play or not, but I know Coach Jabor was recently saying that he sustained some nicks during, the practices and all of that. So he missed scrimmage, but it's not 100% sure. So I think that that's going to be one of those, maybe the day of, whether you see him or not, he'll be there or not. But a few of our tight ends are actually out with an injury as well. And it's going to be really interesting because one guy in particular, Danny Lewis Jr., he was out in, I think, the entire spring practice. Unfortunately, a lot of us have been talking about him. But then our incoming freshman tight end, Marshall Pritchett, he's going to be out for A-Day. And then our other tight end, Josh Cuevas, according to Coach DeBoer, he's gonna be out, and so we won't see him again until fall camp. So technically, the only tight end that we have that's on scholarship that's available for A-Day is Jay Lindsey, who's a redshirt freshman, because the incoming freshman, Caleb Edwards, he hasn't gotten to campus yet. And so I want to get y'all's takes on this. How do you feel about, we've been talking about, just that how thin the tight end room is. And a lot of people, they kind of want to see what that looks like for A-Day. So how do you feel about these injuries and the fact that some of these guys we may not see until, hear about really until fall camp? Do you feel like that could work out for Alabama's favor? Or do you feel like maybe that could be an area of concern? Dan, I'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts?
It's definitely an area of concern because, you got a new quarterback. And what's the new quarterback's best friend? It's a tight end, and we're very, very thin at the position. Like you say, the only one we have active is the only scholarship tight end we have active is Jay Lindsey, who's a redshirt freshman with zero experience. So that's could pose trouble for our starting quarterback. So you want to build rapport with your receivers, especially your tight ends, so that could be a problem, going into, the fall. So, you're kind of behind the 8 ball in that situation. So, you tend to look at other options like, the transfer portal, things like that. We add a walk-on with a little college experience. That was Peter Knudsen. We do have him, but it's hard to get good looks and, get good reps, with no tight end available.
Yeah, and I like what you said about just building that rapport and that chemistry, regardless of which, quarterback will be starting. JB, what are your thoughts? Do you feel the same as Dan as far as, maybe this could be a challenge per se for us, or do you see it kind of from a different perspective? Like maybe this is more of somewhat of a good thing in a sense to where, people won't really know what we're working with, and it'll kind of be a pleasant surprise, if you will.
Well, I'm kind of with Dan here. It's definitely going to be. It's not a good thing, right? Because you need enough bodies. You don't have enough bodies to play the tight end position. Luckily, this is not going to be a scrimmage or prototypical A-Day game in that fashion. It's really going to be a practice.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can pull other guys that probably had played tight end, like maybe some linemen or something, to kind of fill in right now. But I feel like we're going to have to get in the portal and at least grab a tight end, because you need some bodies out there, some healthy bodies. You need some experienced guys out there. When you got redshirt freshmen playing and walk-ons, it's really no experience. And like Dan mentioned, your quarterback's best friend is the tight ends. And in this offense, which we heard a lot about this offense last year being more tight end friendly. That's why Josh Quavers came over from Washington. And, we were expecting to use tight ends a bunch more. Robbie Oots, and CJ Dupree, they were out there a lot. They didn't catch a lot of passes, but they were out there a lot. We use a lot of 2-3 tight end sets sometimes as blockers. So we're going to definitely need some bodies. But yeah, look out for transfer portal. I think it opens up next week, if I'm not mistaken. But to only have Jay Lindsey and a walk-on, and then of course Marshall Pritchard is dealing with injuries, and Josh Quavers is shut down, which we know with
Danny Lewis.
Yeah, Danny Lewis as well. And we got Caleb Edwards,
but he's not even on campus yet.
So it's a work in progress at the tight end position. So right now we just gotta deal with it and get through this rest of this spring.
Yeah. Like you about to say something.
Yeah, not only you think about the guys we lost to the NFL, but you think about what really hurt the depth. We had guys that didn't pan out and left. The Jaleel Billingsley, the Amari Niblack. On top of that, so we unfortunately were unable to build depth through the blue chip ranks. You know what I'm saying? So we lost depth that way as well. So we're really in the red when it comes to tight end.
Yeah. Man, we should have kept Caleb Odom and kept him at tight end. That's what I'm saying, man. Like that. Imagine an Austin Mack with his height connecting with Caleb Odom and his.
I see Jeremy Sanders in the chat say we could always play Derek Meadows.
Hey, we could have played Caleb Odom as well. If he'd have stayed, he'd be starring. Right.
Yeah, I don't know why. I still don't understand. Then they changed him to wide receiver and still didn't really play him much. So, yeah. Well, while we're talking about A-Day, I think this next topic that we wanted to kind of touch on as far as who has the most to gain and to lose. We want to get y'all's thoughts on this, those who are watching, for the viewers. So, but before we jump right in, I do want to mention something that Coach Grubb had mentioned regarding the QB battle, because of course that's going to be one of the main focal points of A-Day. And based on what Coach Grubb stated, essentially it's still not clear who's gonna start. He said that he believes that we have 3 really good quarterbacks, but he doesn't think that anyone has separated themselves from the other. He said they're all playing really well, but they're not playing great yet. And he said that, you're looking for guys to be consistent, guys that can show up and make the same plays all the time. And so he said that, the ideal situation would be to know who the starting quarterback would be going into the summer, but we don't quite know that just yet. So keep that in mind as we kind of share like who we believe, because I'm going to throw out some names, and I want JB and Dan as well to throw out, who they feel like has the most to gain and to lose. Now, one thing to note though is that in our recent scrimmage, Keelan Russell, he was practicing with the second and third team offense, and Ty Simpson and Austin Mack were practicing with the first team offense, and they had roughly the same amount of reps. So keep that in mind. But I personally would say, as far as who I I believe have the most to gain from an offense perspective, I would say Keelan Russell. I say that because even if he's not the starting quarterback this year, I believe that Coach Grubb is going to work him in to where he gets some quality reps this year. And I think that, you know, when we see him out there, he'll give Alabama fans a lot of confidence in the next couple of years to come. And I also think that essentially our entire running back room and receiver, all the receivers, really tight end and wide receivers, I believe they all have a lot to gain as well, because you have Coach Grubb there, right? And I believe that they're gonna move the ball around. We're gonna be more efficient when it comes to that. Of course, we have Jalen Hale and Cole Adams coming off of injury. We get to see the freshmen as well, Latsier Brooks, Derek Meadows, and then AK Deer in terms of the running backs. But as far as who has the most to lose from an offensive perspective, I feel like Ty Simpson. I feel like if he's not named the starting quarterback, we could possibly see him hit the portal. I think that, potentially Austin Mack, because if by chance Ty is named starter, we know, Keelan Russell will most likely be the starting quarterback next year. And so where would that leave Austin Mack? So I feel like it would kind of have more to do with the quarterbacks. But then also I was thinking about Danny Lewis Jr. I feel like he has a little bit more to lose when you line him up with the other tight ends, because he's been at Alabama for a while. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, and he still hasn't really played much. And I still don't understand why. I think he's been underutilized. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then really quickly, as far as defense, I feel like Keon, I always want to call him Keelan Keeley, he has the most to gain. He was also highly touted coming out of high school. Never really got to see him a whole lot at Alabama, but I believe that he could have a big game for A-Day. But also Dejon Lee Jr., I think him coming in, I think he's going to live up to the hype that we've heard of as far as him coming out of high school, 5-star cornerback. He's going to be awesome. And so, and then as far as the defense, who has the most to lose, I would say 2 linebackers in particular that I was thinking about, Caden Jones potentially and Quentin Reese. And I just say that because when you look at the guys who came back, so Deontay Lawson, Justin Jefferson, but then you look at the freshmen who are coming in, London Simmons, Justin Hill, Luke Metz, different guys. I feel like it's going to be interesting, especially if Coach Womack sticks with that 4-2-5, could potentially be 4-3 every now and then. But I just think it's going to be interesting to see like where guys like Quentin Reese may fall, or possibly even Caden Jones. So what I know I said a lot, but I wanted to kind of break it up on as far as offense and defense. Y'all drop in the chat, who do you think has the most to gain and lose? JB, I'm going to start with you. Who on offense and defense do you feel like has the most to lose or gain? And then how do you feel about Coach Grubb's comments about where the QB battle stands right now, as far as there not really being much separation at this point?
Well, see, you took a lot of my names I had on my list. So, but I got some more that you didn't say, so okay. I'm gonna let you slide with
you can say the same ones.
Yeah, I know. I want to give some different names, but to answer your question about what Coach Grubb said, there's a very PC answer, right? Politically correct. You want to keep all 3 quarterbacks happy.
Yes, right.
You don't want to lose somebody from the portal, because why? It doesn't make sense to name a starting quarterback right after now. 8-Day with the portal about to open up, right? And you don't want to do that.
That was a veteran move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Checkmate.
Real slick. But anyway, so the most to gain, I'm gonna throw a name out there that you didn't mention, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. Mm-hmm. Been hearing some good things about him in practice, in the scrimmages, making plays. And some of the guys, especially with Damani Jackson out, with some guys out in the secondary, you got other guys filling in. That's why Dejon Lee has been taking first team reps, so he actually has a lot to gain. But I'm going to say Drake Kirkpatrick because he was there last year, didn't get any playing time. And he's one of the legacy players. His dad was a legend, Alabama legend. So is in his blood. Crimson is in his blood. I feel like he's not going to transfer. He wants to play for Alabama, and he wants to show and prove that he belongs on the field. So I really think Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. has a lot to gain. Also, let me mention he's the 3rd member of the podcast with Mbakwe and Ryan Williams. He's been added to that podcast as well. So there you go. Get you some NIL. Most to lose on offense, I'm going to say Kevin Riley. I hate to say it because you're hearing a lot about Daniel Hill. And we know Richard Young is probably RB2, because he has some experience coming in. AK Deers, he may have most to lose too. I think it's between AK Deer and Kevin Riley because you got these.
You got Draylon Washington. Yeah, you got him.
You got Draylon Washington then. And I'm hearing that he's doing pretty well too. So, I mean, I would hate to lose a running back in the portal. We got 6 running backs on the team, and I think all 6 are good running backs. But you can't play all 6. That's the thing. Unless injuries happen, and we hope and pray the injury bug doesn't bite us this year. So, most to lose, I'm gonna go Jalen Mbakwe, and shouts out to Herb in the chat. Jalen Mbakwe has the most to lose on offense and defense. Let me tell you why. Because he made the move to the wide receiver room. He changed his number. He's number 3. We have a number 3 on defense. That's Keon Sabb.
Yeah.
So you can't play 2 number 3s at the same time. You can't do it. Yeah. So he's going to have to be stuck on offense unless he puts on a different number when he goes to defense. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm still confused by that. But that wide receiver, the depth at the wide receiver room, we're hearing a lot about Lassier Brooks, Jaden Hale. Is he going to be 100%? I mean, and we got the 3-headed monster with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton. Is he going?
Derek Meadows,
Yeah, Meadows, Rico Scott. It's so many. Yeah. But in the DB room, is getting reps right now with Damani Jackson out, with some of those guys like Keon Sabb. It's guys that's out.
I think what he just said when it broke up is that with Damani out, hey, you were kind of breaking up.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I think you were saying with Damani out.
My bad.
DeJohn Lee is getting more reps, is what you were saying?
Yes. And a lot of other guys are getting reps. So it's not helping him to not be getting reps in that position that he came in to play last year.
Right.
So question, is he not getting any at all on defense?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not. I don't think he is.
I mean, surely they wouldn't, like, to me, that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. He switched sides of the ball and he fell down the depth chart.
Well, I remember that was a part of the whole, him potentially entering the transfer portal, XYZ. But then when you look at the receivers coming in, because if I remember correctly, when all of that happened and we started hearing about him possibly playing at wide receiver, that was before, I believe, we had Isaiah Horton commit. That was before, it was before certain names came up. And so I would think that Mbakwe they need to reconsider that, or at least try to have him, kind of, don't do that, Mbakwe, don't do it.
Don't do it. But, I mean, I would hate to, I would hate to see him leaving the portal. I mean, I don't know, man. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see if he continues to get better throughout the spring and the summer. I mean, it's not going to be easy to play.
Right.
Well, no, those were all really good points. Dan, what are your thoughts as far as who you believe on offense and defense has the most to lose and to gain? And then what are your thoughts regarding what Coach Grubb said? It sounds like you agree with what JB was saying as far as his comment about not being any separation amongst the QB.
Definitely. We both saw right through that. We knew what he was doing with that, with that comment. But in the spirit of giving y'all somebody that hadn't been named, I'm going to say on the offensive side of the ball, the person with the most to gain or lose, which is one and the same right now, I'm going to say Cam Dewberry. The reason why you transfer, we have a left tackle out and we have a left guard out. We have Wilkin Formby out and we have Geno Vandermark out. And this is a prime opportunity for him to be able to solidify a spot on the offensive line. He's getting the reps. He didn't have a veteran ahead of him, so he's out there. He's getting the reps. So I think it's a prime opportunity for him. On the defensive side of the ball, man, I've been, we talked about QB Reese. He has a lot to gain. He's even been, mentioned, I've seen, he's been getting a lot of reps with the ones. So this is a guy, that was forgotten about in the recruiting class. You know what I'm saying? And this is a guy that's really been turning heads. You know, he's getting reps with the ones, which says a lot. Even in some dime nickel sets, he's still on the field. So, you know, he's been impressing a little bit. So that's one that has definitely has a lot to gain.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like we're all thinking around, you know, the same lines as far as certain names, but I'm glad you mentioned the ones that you mentioned. And like I said at the start of the show, we do have our Q&A segment towards the end, so be sure to drop your questions. Now, we have already kind of mentioned the portal, but let's shift gears a little bit and just kind of talk about, you know, when the portal opens, I believe next week. Should we anticipate seeing any major losses or additions? I know that, you know, y'all were saying earlier that we should try to get a tight end out of the portal. However, you know, could we possibly see any players hit the portal? And so offensively, I was thinking about Austin Mack. I feel like he's in a very interesting situation to where if Ty, like I said, if he's named, you know, starting quarterback this upcoming season, of course, Austin will still get some reps. But of course, Keelan will be here, you know, we're hoping next year. And so it'll be interesting perhaps. And, you know, I would hope that we don't lose him, because I feel like he followed the coaches, you know, to Alabama for a reason and they really like him. But another, it was two running backs that I was thinking about, Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill. And I mentioned them, maybe possibly one or the other. And I say that because I feel like you'll have Jam Miller, Richard Young in the backfield as like your RB1 and 2 this year, but then next year you'll have maybe Richard Young and AK Deer. And so with the amount of time that Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill they've been at Alabama, it just kind of makes you wonder where they're going to fall in line. And then of course, you know, who else we may get out of the portal. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I feel like those are the names from an offensive perspective. Defensive, I was thinking possibly, you know, maybe Edric Hill. I kind of thought about him, Isaiah Faga, potentially. I'm just thinking about guys who, you know, they were pretty highly touted coming out of high school. Didn't really see a whole lot from them. Quentin Reese, I know we mentioned him as well, but it sounds like, you know, he is kind of standing out in practice. And so potentially we can keep him on and hopefully Womack can work him in. And then, Justin said Daniel Hill has been doing very well at practice. He's been with the ones. So that's good news. And hopefully we'll be able to retain them. But I want to get y'all's takes. So I'll start with you, Dan, on this one. As far as transfer portal, two questions. So what position group should we target from the portal? We mentioned tight ends earlier, you know, any other group, or, you know, as far as who we could potentially lose from our side, who are you thinking offensively and defensively?
Well, I definitely don't want to name any names, but position, I'm gonna say I expect to lose some out of the receiver room, maybe running back, you know, I'm not sure, but I don't know after the spring, but maybe around the summer, it could be quarterback. You know, somebody's gonna, you know, they're gonna know, you know, I think by then somebody have a grasp of it, you know, towards the end of the summer. So other than that, I think we're solid at defensive back. We may, you know, but as far as addressing needs, we definitely got to hit, you know, tight end, maybe get a tackle out of the portal, but you don't want to just take, you know, we've taken one project out of the portal. You know, we lost Nyquil Bertrand and we signed another, you know, project out of the portal. So you want to look and see if there's a experience, you know, talent that you can get, you know, in the spring, because and tight end tackle is a position that you want to get on early. So you want to watch that closely. You know, like the situation with Tyler Steen, we were able to get in on him quickly, and he was a very serviceable tackle for us. So, SEC window is closed right now as far as, you know, getting a transfer from within conference. I don't know, you know, why we still got that stupid rule, but you know,
you're not mad, are you?
Yes, I think it's dumb. You know, you can't transfer within the conference.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes no sense right now. You know, all the other stuff that they allow to go on. You know,
I know.
You know, that's crazy. But I don't know. We'll see. But I expect, you know, tackle, tight end, two positions I expect to get addressed, you know, through the portal.
Okay. All right. JB, what are your thoughts? What position groups do you feel like we should target out of the portal? And then who do you think could possibly hit the portal from Alabama side?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Dan. You know, we mentioned the tight ends, of course, but tackle. I mean, right tackle, left tackle, because we have guys. We still trying to find that right tackle. I guess Wilkin Formby maybe, but who's going to be? We don't have a lot of depth at that position, so maybe a depth piece. And Dan mentioned about that rule, the SEC. Maybe we can get a guy. You know, we missed some guys when the portal was open after playoffs. We missed guys who were in the portal that we possibly could have brought in to be a depth piece or a potential starter at right tackle. So I feel like we may need to address that need. And for the Austin Mack situation, you know, if he does hit the portal, I don't want to see him go. But if he does hit the portal and we have a Ty Simpson QB1 and Keelan Russell QB2, we still need another quarterback.
Yeah.
We may need two quarterbacks. I mean, I think we have walk-ons, but you don't want to go into the season with only two quarterbacks. And that's just not, it's not safe. It's not the right thing to do, because anything can happen. You're one play away from being down to one quarterback, and you don't want a situation where you got emergency quarterbacks. I cover Alabama State University. They went through 5 quarterbacks in the first 5 weeks of the season last year. The 5th quarterback was a walk-on wide receiver who switched to quarterback. That was the situation they were in last year. So anything can happen. You know, season in the end, we don't wish injury on anybody, but things happen. So you need at least three solid quarterbacks.
Well, Dane Petty will tell you we only had 2 quarterbacks last year.
Yes, he will say that.
We need to have him on. Soon.
But of course, I mean, Austin Mack was there last year, and he was a work in progress. I was at A-Day last year. I saw Austin Mack. He was not ready to go. He wasn't ready. And I was just looking at him, and I was like, man, he needs to work. His footwork is terrible. That's what I was saying, you know, just me looking. But, I mean, you get better with time, repetition, and coaching. So, I mean, I don't want to see him leave. I don't want to see any of these quarterbacks leave. I'm glad Ryan Grubb said what he said, and I'm glad they're keeping it the way it is. Keep the competition going throughout the summer. You know, I don't want to lose a quarterback. Any other positions, we may lose wide receiver. Like I say, we may lose a running back. But I don't know. We got a lot of depth at some positions. You know, a lot of depth in the secondary, right? It's a lot of guys. We probably like 8 deep at wide receiver. So, I mean, I don't think one guy leaving will hurt us, but who knows? I just don't want to lose a quarterback.
And to piggyback off of what y'all are saying, I would caution the guys that would consider hitting the portal, just because I'm not saying that Coach Grubb is just like the be all end all, but I do think that he's probably the best OC that we will feel like we've had in the last few years. I mean, you look at Bill O'Brien, Tommy Rees, even Nick Sheridan last year. I do believe that he was limited to some degree, which we won't get into all of that. But I feel like, you know, having somebody like Coach Grubb, I would almost kind of, I don't know, I would kind of think twice about hitting the portal, because I would almost want to see what can he do with me. I mean, someone like him, you better believe you're going to get out on that field. So that's why I feel like with Austin Mack, Ty Simpson, Keelan Russell, there's still a good chance that, and like you said, to be strategic, not name anything, not say anything until after the portal closes, because he can work all of them in, you know, with the different games. So we have their different skill sets. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But you mentioned one particular position group that I always get excited about, the secondary. But before we talk more about them, I do want to give a shout out to our other sponsor, WhitwillSports.com. We always tell you that your game day is not the same without a title towel. So be sure to visit WhitwillSports.com. We do have their website below in the banner, and use promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. Go ahead and order yours so that you have it in time for this season. You won't get it in time for A-Day, but you can have it in time for this season. So let's jump right into
tell Lamb Stone to send me a stone. You know what I'm saying? I could have a prop. I sit a big old rock on my shoulder.
I know. Yeah, I need to order some since they have the best natural stones. I mean, honestly, that is a good idea. We need to get some,
we need some props, Justin.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Yeah, because they're one of the best in the state of Alabama. So shout out to them. All right, and then so let's talk about the secondary. Now we really want y'all to get in the chat for this one. I always get excited when it comes to the secondary. That's one of my favorite groups. So one thing in particular, Coach DeBoer, he was praising our secondary last week based on what he's been seeing in spring practice. And he was basically saying that both the corners and the safeties have really reconfigured and been playing at an extremely high level of football. Those were his words. And he said it seems like they're seeking out and they're hunting the ball and they're confident. And so I just feel like, hearing those words, but then also seeing who's coming back, but then who came in, whether it was from the portal or, the freshmen. I feel like last year our secondary was better than they've been over the last few years. But of course we saw, Keon Sabb go down. Bray Hubbard stepped in and stepped up and did really well. We saw Damani Jackson have a great year last year. Could have gone to the draft, chose to come back, spoke volumes. We saw true freshman Xavier Brown go off. This is going to be a great year for him. But I want to throw something out there and I want to get y'all's takes, both you, JB and Dan. And then I want y'all in the chat to drop your thoughts on this. So I was thinking about, I know this may be a little early to kind of, do these type of comparisons, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because like I said last week, I'll go out on a limb and I'll sit there for Alabama. So if we were to compare it, for me, if I were to compare what we have right now in terms of our secondary room, I would compare it either to 2011 or 2015. I say 2011 because you think about the Mark Barons, HaHa Clinton Dix, Vinny Sinceri, Dre Kirkpatrick, which, his son is there now, D. Milner, Robert Lester, Daquan Menzie. You think about that group. So it's either going to be that group 2011 or 2015. And I'm standing on the 2015, Eddie Jackson, Cyrus Jones, Ronnie Harrison, all these guys, Marlon Humphrey, Minka Fitzpatrick, Tony Brown, Levi Wallace, we went completely off. So before we, kind of go too much in depth, I want to get y'all's takes on this. It may be a look, kind of far-fetched, but I feel like it's worth kind of doing that comparison now because I feel like what we're going to see this season, we're going to be comparing it to one of those years, 2015. That was 10 years ago. It's time for that full circle moment. So JB, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about, what Coach DeBoer said about the secondary and how they've been hunting the ball and how they're confident? And then also, how do you feel about that comparison I made with 2011 and 2015?
I like what you said. I like all those names you said. NFL players, Bama legends, you said some big time names there. I'm looking at our defensive back room and I feel like we have some NFL talent, some guys who are going to be great on the next level. Like you mentioned, the Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown coming into his second year, true freshman last year, went out there, made some plays, big plays and big moments. So him, Jackson, then you're looking at the way Keon Sabb came in. He came over. He played very well until he got injured, right? Now you got Bray Hubbard. Man, Bray Hubbard, he played. He's a dog. Oh, he's a dog, man. Yeah. And I love his game. He's a headhunter. They call him Thumper. That's what they call him, Thumper. He come hit you. But he also can make plays back there like interception, ball hawk type, And we have other guys under the radar, guys like a Zay Mincy back there, who can step in and play that safety position. So man, that room is loaded. I know it's too premature to kind of compare those guys, but the way you said it and the way we may look at this 5 or 10 years later, you may be on to something, C'Chi. You may be on to something.
I mean, I'm just saying, don't turn me up like I was turned up last week.
No, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're absolutely on point with all the talent we have back there. But what Coach was saying, I like what Coach is saying. You have to keep these guys locked in. And I think the secondary is the strong suit of this team. I still pass rushers. The front seven, so to speak, they got to show me. I mean, we need improved linebacker play and improved defensive line play. The secondary, we got dogs back there. We got guys that can cover. I'm confident in that secondary. So we got some NFL talent in there, and I just want to see it out there on the field. I'm ready for the fall, C'Chi.
Me too.
I'm ready to see it on the field.
Look, All right, have me go off.
I'm with you.
Have me go off. Like look.
I turned you up last week, but I'm with you this week.
And I'm still turned up. You said you didn't want to go out on that limb about the natty. I'm still on the limb. Like, we're winning that national championship. Y'all can't tell me nothing. Like, I could care less what anybody has to say, including Booger McFarland. Like, no, look. I know. Look, hey, I saw Publix had they Raisinets on sale, and they had them buy one, get one free. And I thought about Booger McFarland. I'm like, dang, Booger, you done went on sale talking all that mess. Anyway, no, that was good what you said, JB. Dan, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about what Coach DeBoer said about the secondary? And then how do you feel about the early comparisons I made to the 2011 and 2015 guys?
Man, listen, I'm gonna rattle off some names for y'all. You know, Caleb Downs, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Devontae Smith, Malachi Moore, Trey Amos. Those are guys that we lost within the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
In just 2 years. Those are guys we lost in the last 2 years. You know, now the say that this is actually the best secondary that we had in years after losing all those guys. Those are just some of them. That's not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. Yeah. You know, that's a testament to one guy. That's Mo Linguist. Mm-hmm. You know, the job that he's done with this group. You know, man, you know, we lost, you know, really two first round. I'm gonna call Kool-Aid first round, 2 first round corners. Our other start, we lost our 3 top corners. You know, Kool-Aid, Terrion, and Trey Amos.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, we're losing Malachi Moore this year, Devontae Smith. You know, and to say that we are actually upgrading, this is to astronomical levels. You know, that's crazy. That, you know, you mentioned guys like Bray Hubbard that has come along, that has developed. You know, not just bringing in more 5 stars and just having more talent to stockpile, but coaching them up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting them ready. Xavier Brown was a true freshman that got coached up. You know, so I'm beyond excited about this potential of the secondary that we had. You know, we're still going to be DBU, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, at least for the next 4 to 5 years. You know, which is crazy. You know, tremendous job. You know, by the coaching staff on that part.
Yeah, man. DBU, and it ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's, you know, Alabama's still the standard. I mean, I'm just
and the way they're talking about Dejon Lee, they're talking about him. He's already one of them ones.
Yeah,
already. I mean, crazy. Yeah, and yeah. Shouts out to Coach Mo too, man, coming in with that NFL experience. And you know, he was with the Cowboys at one point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I mean, you think about from a safety perspective, Ivan Taylor coming in, Deshaun Jones there. I think Xavier Brown, one of his first big plays last year was in our game against Georgia at the end of the game. You know, and so you think about the impact that the freshmen have. You have the Zay Mincies of the world, Red Morgan coming back, Cam Howard. You know, you have. I mean, it's just Chuck McDonald as far as CB. It's crazy. Y'all drop what y'all think in the chat. I don't think we went out too far on the limb as far as comparing them to 2015. And I think that y'all may come back to this video later and be like, you know what? They did call that one. Now let's kind of pivot a little bit though, because, you know, we're gonna be real about what we see with Alabama, but of course, you know, we have the haters, and of course, Michigan, you know, always got something to say. They're the last ones that should be talking when you consider all the. We just talked about just in our episode last week about some serious trouble that one of their former QB coaches and co-offensive coordinators, Matt Wise, is under. You know, as far as the FBI and everything that's going on with that, and so you would think that the team that's literally in trouble every other month about something that usually has something to do with integrity issues from the leadership, you would think that those would be the ones that would sit back and be quiet. And yet those are usually the loudest ones in the room for some reason. So you have their edge rusher, Dominic Nichols, who, you know, he was in our game when we played them, you know, a few months ago. That was just a waste of time, complete waste of time. But he decided to say a few days ago that he was like, well, we went from whooping Ohio State to whooping Alabama, and saying how he feels like they're just going to roll into spring ball and just have, they feel very confident because they quote unquote whooped Ohio State and whooped Alabama. First of all, keep Alabama name out your mouth. Like I don't understand. You have the team that's constantly in trouble. Either they cheating, either they stealing somebody's photos offline, either they download people's videos from their phone. I mean, it's always something. You have Jim Harbaugh run off to the NFL because he knew what time it was. I mean, you have the current head coach Moore deleting texts that he sent to Connor. I mean, it's ridiculous. You would think that they would be the ones that would sit there and be quiet because of what's going to come down the pipeline from the MC. They're not going to, especially the most recent accusations, they're not going to get out of that. So I want to get y'all's thoughts, and also in the chat, how do y'all feel about, this whole Nichols guy running his mouth talking about they beat up on Alabama? First of all, sir, you didn't beat up on anybody. That game meant nothing, just like Michigan don't mean anything. But Dan, what do you think about what he had to say?
That comes from that's type of comment someone makes when they're trying to be relevant.
Hey,
that's just what it is. Like to say, hey, we did this, we did this, we did this. So I'm not impressed. And that what happened. Michigan was a upstanding program. Really be honest. You know what I'm saying. But when you sell your soul, you know what I'm saying, and integrity with you, you got you a national championship, and integrity and everything went out the window with it to get it, the common stallion situation. Yeah, just everything you thrown away what the university was built on, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of hard to respect that now, you know what I'm saying? So, but a guy chirping, they say a lot of stupid things, like even when they went and, planted the flag on Ohio State's the logo, and one of the players said, teams just got to know how to lose. That's a stupid comment to make when you get your ass whooped for trying to plant a flag in the middle of another team's football field. So that says a lot about the program and their mentality.
And you know what? They should still feel as deflated as they felt when they won the so-called national championship, and then a week later, Coach Saban announced his retirement, and everybody forgot about Michigan because they are that irrelevant. Like,
right? You don't hear our players saying anything about we beat Georgia.
I know. I mean,
you didn't hear anybody talking about it after. It's the expectation. It's expected. You know what I'm saying?
It's expected. Right. Man, JB, how do you feel about this? Do you feel the same way, or do you have a different perspective?
No, I feel the same way. Anything to be relevant right now. Nobody's talking about Michigan. Ohio State just won a national championship. Yeah, you beat Ohio State, but they still won a national championship, right? You beat Alabama. We still Alabama. The game? No, we did not care about the game. Y'all whooped us. Really, really, dude. Y'all beat us at the end of the game. Y'all did not whoop us. But Michigan need to worry about that RICO charge they got. They on an investigation.
Man,
they got the RICO that may turn into the FRICO because you don't know. You don't know what's going on behind. When you got what was that guy last week?
Matt Wise, the former coach. Y'all got to go back and watch our episode from last week. That's on a whole different level. Like that Connor Stallions, that was one thing that was bad. The different things that have happened with Michigan, but that's on a different level. And like we said, he had access to the information of over 150,000 student athletes over the last few years. They got former Michigan players, a couple of girls that are actually filing a class action lawsuit. And it's going to be other players that are going to join in. They should with that lawsuit, but.
This may be bigger than the Diddy trial. That's what I'm telling you. When it
From
comes
a scandal perspective,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing all this hacking into people's personal things,
bro. Their iCloud
and high school students were recruits, right? Was it recruits or?
I don't know their age. I know that they could have just gotten to college. Even they could have been 17 years old.
Wow. He's going down. I know Wise is going down, but it's on Michigan.
It's on Michigan. That's why they're suing Michigan too.
Like we said, they knew this. Harbaugh knew what was going on. He got out of there on the first train to LA, right? He got out of there the very second After the national championship, that next morning he was gone. I don't want to go to no parade. Mail me my own ring because I'm getting out of here. I got me a job already. I knew what was going down
on the other coast.
And that coach was at Michigan. He was at Michigan for at least like 8 years.
Yeah.
How did? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, Harbaugh was the. I don't want to put all the blame on him, but he knew what was going on.
Leadership starts at the top.
Starts at the top. Whoever the AD is, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, but Michigan as a program should be ashamed of themselves. And for the players taking shots, I mean, go ahead, take all the shots you want. We Teflon over here. We Alabama.
We still Alabama.
I bet you won't plant that flag in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, they're not going to come to Tuscaloosa.
You ain't running up in Tuscaloosa playing no. You gonna get planted. We look.
They're not going to come to Tuscaloosa. And when the championship gets vacated soon,
that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's gonna get to that point, and but they're too busy paying what Bryce Underwood all that money to come there. Like they, just. Anywho, Justin says they're the pick-me girl of college football. Well, all right. Well, let's move on to basketball. And like we said, we do have our Q&A that's coming up after this, so be sure to drop your questions. Now, there's been some moving pieces in terms of men's basketball in particular. We know that Diabate hit the portal. I heard that he had committed to Kentucky. It was announced today that Jaren Stevenson has hit the portal as well. However, a few guys have already announced that they are returning to Alabama. So we have guys like Houston Mallett, Aiden Holloway, Aiden Sherrill, and then Latrell Whitesell Jr. So, that's good that we have them coming back. And then we also landed a couple guys in terms of commitments. We mentioned last week Noah Williamson, the 7-foot center from Bucknell, but we also got a couple other guys this week. We have power forward Taylor Bowen from Florida State, 6'10", and he started in almost all of their games, and he was averaging about 8 points per game, 5 blocks per game, and he was about 80% at the free throw line. So this is a really good pickup for Alabama. But then we also got a commit from guard Jaleel Bethia from Miami and from through the portal, and he'll be going into his second year. And so he had a really good game a couple months ago against Syracuse, over 20 points, I believe. So I want to get y'all's takes. Dan, what are your thoughts on, don't really want to harp on Diabate and Stevenson leaving because, it seems like that's kind of the state of basketball for sure. But what do you think about, as far as the guys who are staying and then the commits that we just picked up?
Right. Let me see. It was a given that Alabama was going to lose, 2 of the 3 of Stevenson, Reed, and Diabate. So it was understood. Alabama really liked, Taylor Bowen. He's a guy, he's going to come in, play the Stevenson role. We also lose Grant Nelson, so he's going to come in and play that 4. He's going to be that stretch 4 that we've been looking for years. One that he's a very consistent 3-point shooter. That's what we was missing with Nelson and Stevenson. Both of them kind of was inconsistent with that part of the game. Both of them were tremendous defenders. So we'll see what Taylor Bowen. I don't know if he's on that level as them. So, but offensively, I think, he fits this system better, and with Noah Williamson, we lose Cliff, but we get a big body. He's not the rim protector that Cliff was, but he's the big body. He won't be able to be moved in the paint as easily, so, he has a little more size, a little more girth to him, but Jaleel Bethea, I want to talk about him. The thing I like about him is he addresses something that we really, really, really struggled with, and that was length on the perimeter. When we had Wright, Sears, Holloway, we kind of struggled with the bigger guards. He allows us, to be able to address that. Coming out of high school, he was the number 6 overall player. It didn't work out well with him at Miami. A lot of stuff going on with the basketball program. So it's kind of like a Aiden Holloway situation. He comes into another program that better suits his skill set. And I really expect him to thrive in this offense with Nate Oates. You know, Nate Oates has always hit a home run with all his transfers. So I don't expect that to stop anytime soon. But, you know, tremendous pickup, and I don't think we're done yet.
I agree. And JB, what are your thoughts as far as the few guys who have already announced that they're returning to Alabama? And then also with us getting, I know we got the commit from Noah last week, but then this week, you know, getting Taylor from Florida State and then getting Jaleel as well from Miami. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Jaleel Bethea, big pickup right there. You know, highly talented kid coming out of high school with 6'5", you know, so
Right.
yeah, the length we need that size.
Desperately.
We had short guards, and that really hurt us against Duke. You know, no disrespect to Mark Sears, he was great at Alabama, but he was barely 6 feet tall. And when you got going up against 6'5" guys, and then you get to the rim, you got 7-footers, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so at least we get guys 6'4", 6'5". These guards are getting bigger and bigger. They're coming out of high school at 6'6", 6'7", playing point guard.
Right.
So, you know, you got to get you some size on there. Now, we're still putting together a team because we just lost Stevenson, Mo D, and we still need to fill this roster out. We don't know what Darren Reed is going to do. Deron Reed, he hasn't decided, and Fallon hasn't decided. So if Fallon goes to the NBA, if Deron Reed, I think he should come back, but he may hit the portal. We don't know. It's going to close soon, so we'll be able to kind of figure out. But we still need to pick up a couple more guys to fill this roster out. I like where we at. I mean, we got some young guys coming in, some freshmen. I think we got like 3 4-star freshmen coming in. But it's hard. It's hard to build a team every year. And this is the new college basketball because of the NIL and the portal. You have to build teams each and every year. Not like retooling. You have to get 7, 8 new players. That's half of your team.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do that. And I commend Nate Oates because, you know, Final Four, Elite 8. He went Sweet 16 a couple years ago. So he's been in the Sweet 16, 3 years now in a row? At least the Sweet 16. And he's doing it with different set of players, you know. So, I mean, let's see how this team looks after this portal is over. And hopefully we can get Fallon back. If not, we're going to have to replace him as well.
Right.
Yeah. Y'all know, I was hoping we would have gotten that guy, what is it, Braden Burries or some out of Cali, and he committed today. He named us in the top 5, but he committed, I think, to Arizona or Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona.
Yeah, I was hoping we would have gotten him, but maybe he wants to, you know, kind of stay on the West Coast. So, anywho, all right. Well, let's get into our Q&A and see what questions we have. I think we got a Michigan fan in the chat, so we'll see what he's talking about. All right, shout out to her. Yeah. Jalen Ibakwe has the most to lose. Yeah, he sounds like what y'all were saying, especially as far as switching over to receiver. That's gonna be interesting. So let's see. Bubba Hampton potentially transfers. I mean, I hope not. We saw. We'll
see. Yeah, we'll know if he does. It'll be in the spring portal, I would think.
Yeah.
I think so.
I hate to see it though.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe he could switch to DB and give him Barkley some room.
Well, you're right. You're
Brian
right.
Russell can Bach play quarterback.
Can Bach play quarterback? Well,
he can now. He can.
He can Bach play every position.
Hey, I mean, shoot. Him and Bray Hubbard. They played it in high school.
He's like, where you need me at, coach?
Yeah.
Maybe he can be QB4.
Maybe they can see a tight end running up the scene. Too soon.
All right. Okay. Shout out to Randall Brooks. I would like to see Newberry at left tackle and then Proctor slide to left guard. I believe it's a better suit for this scheme. You know what? We were talking about that a couple months ago, right? Maybe having Proctor at guard. Potentially having him at guard because he did kind of struggle. Because I don't know. I know CJ Dupree is gone. I know they would put him out there sometimes to kind of help him a little bit, but that might work. Yeah.
I don't think so. Not and especially for Proctor's sake, it's money year for him. You know what I'm saying? A position switch, it won't happen at this level. It may happen in the league, We've seen that, they take tackles and move them to guard, but this is money year for him. He's banking on being a prototypical left tackle, first round left tackle. So I don't expect, switching him to guard.
No. All right, shout out to Dylan. We should have went after those 2 offensive linemen from Notre Dame after the season was over. That's what y'all were saying earlier, that after we played Michigan, it was some guys that we kind of missed in the portal. I
don't know why we didn't address it earlier. We did. We got Dewberry, but we still I still feel like more depth. We have a lot of freshmen. Some highly touted freshmen in that position, but you still have to coach them up. They have to learn and they have to be ready to go out there and play SEC ball. And you can't really count on the true freshmen like that on the offensive line.
So then in that regard, how do we feel about Coach Kaplivic? I know he's been really good as far as recruiting, but how do we feel? How he's developing these linemen? What do y'all think?
They improved. They improved over last year,
Yeah.
They didn't give up 85 sacks.
Almost 100 sacks.
It was crazy. Yeah, that was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? 70-something sacks. That was embarrassing for the University of Alabama. So
don't do that.
That wasn't hard to improve on, but he did, and it was better. I say Proctor, he improved under him.
Yeah.
So I think we proved that the as far as the offensive line goes. So we'll see year 2. We shall see, because who was the Scott Huff, he was the coach that came over. So we lose him. Coach Cap comes in late, so he got a late start. So we're gonna see, I'm saying. So he hadn't really got his guys. So, we give him time and see, but he done a tremendous job, phenomenal job, in the short time that he's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can Bama, shout out to Jeremy, can Bama be DLU too? Look, we
got to get back to it. Yeah.
Get back. Yeah.
Maybe this is the year. I just, don't y'all feel like there's a reason why the fact that Alabama didn't make it to the Natty, but we had guys who could have gone to the draft and they chose to stay, LT Overton, Jamarian Latham. When I look at it from that perspective, I'm just like, that speaks volumes, as far as the level of comfort that they have with, the program and the staff. So
we're gonna see.
All right. Sour grapes. We have a winning record against the SEC, and we have big time lawyers. No, y'all don't. I know this is that raggedy Michigan fan. Yeah. See. This is what's happening.
Man, you don't come on our show and tell her to shut up. First of all, that ain't gonna fly.
But you know what?
I don't know what you think you are.
He ain't nobody. He watching us. They don't have a show to watch. We have to understand that they have no shows to watch, so they have to watch Alabama and
watch Law and Order. Go watch Law and Order. You got lawyer. Go watch Law and Order.
Watching. As a matter of fact, thank you for watching. Go back and watch our episode from last week so you can get more of an understanding as far as the legal issues that y'all are facing right now, because who you need to be contacting is the prosecuting attorney who has already said to the public that they're not going to waste any time to press these charges that your so-called co-offensive coordinator and QB coach, Matt Wise, y'all need to find out what he's been doing, because it sounds like what I'm seeing is that y'all over this last 10-year period, y'all have had an extensive amount of integrity issues. You got Jim Harbaugh constantly having issues. He's been suspended how many times over the last few years? At the start of the season, he's always suspended for something. Like, y'all should be the last ones talking. If I were y'all, I would be embarrassed. Like, y'all got to pay players to want to come there. You know what I mean? Like, this is pitiful. You got your little raggedy defensive lineman Nichols running his mouth before the season even starts. Y'all have to pay players. You got to have someone like Connor out there stealing signs. Like, y'all have nothing to be proud of. I would literally be ashamed if I was a Michigan fan. There is no way that I would still be a Michigan fan with as raggedy as y'all are. Go find out who their prosecuting attorney is. Find out what information they have and that the FBI has, because they're working with Michigan as well, because y'all are about to give up some of those raggedy wins that y'all think that y'all cheated to get. Y'all about to give that up. Like, y'all not gonna live. That's why they mad, Dan. That's why look, y'all, this is why they're mad, because they know that they can only win if they cheat. That's it.
Yeah. I have no desire to watch anything Michigan, so I don't know why you're here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all have nothing to watch. These so-called wins that you have, Coach Saban, he announced his retirement a week after y'all won that so-called natty, took all the steam out of Michigan. Y'all are literally irrelevant because you have to cheat to win. People don't respect that. Y'all have to understand that. See, Ohio State, they didn't have to cheat to win the natty. So we respect that. But look at y'all. You talk about sour grapes. Y'all the ones that have a QB coach that's literally sitting there hacking student athletes' phones and their emails and like downloading. Are you serious? That's what y'all have? A winning record with that trash? Are you serious? Bruh, like, see, this is what I'm talking about. They're so delusional and they really think that they have some, like, y'all just need to go ahead and just leave college football for a few years and let people forget about all this stuff that's happened with y'all. Let it just kind of, settle down.
I'm sorry nobody's talking about y'all. I really am.
It's nothing to talk about.
I really am.
Because every time you talk about Michigan, it's going to have something to do with either cheating,
you don't hear any other teams talking about Michigan.
It's nothing to
no other teams talk about Michigan because they're irrelevant. Nobody's talking about them.
So they had just
not even Michigan. They're talking about us. Yeah.
That's pitiful. They just embarrassing. That's embarrassing. But they have no class. So which one of you guys are lawyers on here?
I can tell you where you can plant it, but we might get canceled.
What a son of China.
They're gonna flag the video. Look, you want to talk about lawyers? I told you, go find out who their prosecuting attorney is because she made it clear what they're about to do with Michigan. So I mean, you worried about the wrong thing. And what y'all need to be worried about is getting the facts because we got it. Go check out our episode last week if y'all want the details. Check that out because y'all should be embarrassed. Like, that's disgusting to have a coach like that who was with the program for 8 freaking years. And you mean to tell me that y'all had no idea that your little raggedy Jim Harbaugh, he couldn't wait to go to the NFL because he knew all this stuff was about to come out. But y'all want to sit up there and brag like y'all. So you can't sit at the table with winners. We don't have to cheat to win. We don't have to buy players. We're the standard. They come to Alabama because it's Alabama. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't got to pay Bryce Underwood millions of dollars to come. What? Y'all y'all think y'all can talk because Justice Haynes wanted to transfer. How much y'all paying him to transfer there? Like, what? Y'all are like the epitome of low integrity. You're always in the news for the wrong reasons. Those so-called W's that you think you have, you about to lose them because the FBI, they not playing any, like, this is on a whole different level. Y'all need, like I said, go read the details, go read the amount of student athletes that were affected by this. And for you to sit up there and be upset because we calling y'all out, that says more about you as a person than it does about us. Because the fact that you want to circle around what y'all have done, what your little raggedy coach did, so you don't want to address that as far as his lack of integrity and literally hacking people's phones and like, what? I wouldn't be saying anything if something like that came out about an Alabama coach, and he was there since 2015 to 2023. So he was recent. It's not like this is from like 20, 30 years ago, like that would have made a difference. But the fact that he was there that long, like if that was Alabama, I wouldn't be saying anything because like I would be literally disgusted that someone could literally be there that long. And Jim Harbaugh, there's no way that he didn't know anything. You know what I mean? Like this, y'all took it there. I thought Auburn was low. Y'all just took the cake. Y'all just took it. That was the quietest natty I ever seen in my life in Michigan. That's what I'm saying. Right. I mean,
oh yeah, they did win that year. Yeah. I didn't even watch the game.
Who did they play?
Who was it? It was
Was it
Coach DeBoer? It was Coach DeBoer in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Coach DeBoer had more headlines than them after they won.
He did.
He came to the script,
Yeah.
He did. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why they're mad. That's why they're so bitter. You would think that
nobody's talking about them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would think that a team that just so-called won the natty a year ago, you would think that they would, be cool, calm, and collected. That's why they're so bitter, because they still irrelevant. After all that cheating, after all those millions y'all coughed up to try to get Bryce Underwood, it still means nothing.
Do they have any other athletic programs? I mean, really, what are they doing? Anything? Do they have any other athletic program?
All the athletic programs that they have. You mean those girls that filed their class action lawsuit? Maybe that were, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, y'all always in the
Crazy.
news for the wrong reason, but y'all want to be respected like y'all on the same level. You're not. Like, make no mistake. You have no seat at the table, sir. Like, sit down. That's why they bitter. That's why they mad. You can stay mad because this is Alabama. We don't have to do what y'all do to win. And that's why they mad. Y'all can stay mad because it's still Alabama. Roll Tide. Don't have me go off, like, roll Tide every single day because you watching us tonight. You could have been at Bible study tonight and you watching us. So roll Tide. Y'all ain't got nothing to watch. That Natty wasn't even worth watching. I mean, we forgot about, I mean, come on. Like, y'all are horrible. Y'all are absolutely horrible. Just embarrassing. Getting somebody chat talking. Y'all worse than Auburn. I mean, at least that's expected of Auburn. We know that they've accepted, how they usually are every game. But Michigan, come on now. Come on.
Right.
I don't know, man. I want to feel bad for him, but when they get to talking like that, it's just like you can't have any sympathy for him, I don't know. What y'all think in the chat? Yeah. Look, I don't see Linda P in there because she would have.
That's why you see that the foolery going on.
They lucky Linda P ain't there. Linda P, Debo of the chat.
She was there last week though. Yeah, they went off about the whole Michigan ordeal, but like I said, it's like every other month is something else that comes out, and honestly, I think it's going to be more. Because if it got that bad, you better believe it's some other stuff that's coming out. So, yeah. But anyway, you got your little seconds of relevance.
He ran off.
Huh?
I think he ran off.
I bet he did run off. You ain't coming over here running your mouth about Alabama and y'all sitting up there with all those.
He probably took me up on my idea with that flag. Free.
He told him where to plant that flag. Just disrespect. I mean, they just all around just like. I mean, I'm not an Ohio State fan. Never have been. Oh. And usually, I'm kind of neutral when they play Michigan, but stuff like that, man, it's gonna be a Buckeye.
Yeah.
Every time.
I mean, really, if Michigan football is on, I'd rather watch bowling.
Not bowling. Just watch bowling. I mean, it's just, yeah, y'all better run him off. They get real. That's the thing. Like, look. Y'all gonna have me go off again. I mean, it's not worth it, but they do have to be put in their place because they literally think that they have a seat at the table. Like, Alabama didn't get to where they are from doing what y'all did. Like, that's why you will never compare. You can't compete where you don't compare, sir. Y'all want to sit at the table. We didn't do what y'all did. Like, it's never gonna be the same because you're not Alabama. So y'all gotta understand that. Like,
shout out Don Parker.
Yeah, shout out to Don Parker and Brian Russell. Yeah,
Brian, he showed his head. Y'all rip him, man.
Yeah,
I think he ran off. He better run off.
Come on, our podcast. Come out some shut up, man, please.
Hey, I know who you talking
to. I got time today.
Right. Hey, he probably got off to go see if Michigan have a show just so he can kind of prove us wrong. We know they ain't got no show. What they gonna talk about? The latest in the developments of this lawsuit? I mean. What is there to talk about?
I don't even think they have a fan board. I don't know.
Do they have?
I don't even think they have. I don't even know, man. It's terrible.
They don't.
Anyway, y'all. Well, this is fun. I mean, it's always fun to put them back in their place when they think that they almost taking the seat of Auburn. You don't want to get to that level, but it is what it is. So he said, if Michigan on, I'd rather watch paint dry. You ain't the only one. I mean. It's just not worth watching. But
really?
I'm sure it's not. But we'll hear more. I think before the season starts, it's gonna be something else that comes up with them. But yeah. All right. Well, do y'all have any JB, I'll start with you. Any other shows that you want to mention, and then any social media?
Yeah. Of course, Sunday Night Talking Bama with JT, Herb, and Stephen M. Smith. Sunday nights here on the Bama Standard Network. 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Getting ready for A-Day this Saturday. I will be there. Hope a lot of y'all will be there. A lot of the people in the chat. The Bama Standard channel, Justin, ready to see him and everybody else, Smoke and the whole crew. So we'll be there on Saturday. And follow me on social media. Young_ENT_ on Twitter. Sports Talk JB on Instagram and Sports Talking with JB on YouTube.
All right. Dan, any other shows and any social media?
Yes, definitely. Every Tuesday night, you can catch me on the Final Whistle. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Wednesdays right here, the Crimson Dynasty, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. Football season is around the corner. You catch me on X at the Final Whistle Dan. You catch me on Instagram, Dan James IV. I'll be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys in the chat. Everyone, welcome Joe Edwards. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all taking your time out your day to spend time with us. Even that old Michigan fan, with his ridiculous takes. We don't care. There are lawyers everywhere. I guarantee you, I won't look up the Michigan phone book to try to find a lawyer when I need something else.
Last thing you think about is Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Joe Edwards, we're going to be at the Bryant Museum Saturday morning for the autograph signing. I think it's at 9 a.m. Saturday morning.
I'll probably be there if I can call in sick.
All right, and there won't be Teague's Take tonight, and then Going Hard in the Paint that typically airs on Thursdays. They're done for the season, so we may have something else that we put for Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But you can find me on X at official C'Chi, and then you can find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. And that'll do it for us. So we will see you all next week. We have something, I won't go into detail right now, but of course you have the draft coming up in 2 weeks. And so we'll have a special guest on, and be sure to tune in. We'll give you more information next week, but yeah, that'll do it. And we will catch you all next week. Same time, same place. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.